What's in a cut or what's in a scratch? The picture that you see here is a fellow that we encountered in Guyana. He stepped on a pebble, got just a little scratch, got infected, and now he has a very serious infection in his foot, and this may eventually cost him his leg, could even possibly cost him his life. It's important that cuts and scratches be treated properly. Infection, particularly staph, methicillin-resistant Staph aureus is out there. It starts in a cut or a scratch or a scrape, and you can die from that. At the very least, you can get cellulitis. That's an infection in the tissues. A cut is an opening for that. Or fasciitis, a deeper, more severe infection. Fasciitis requires hospitalization. If you get fasciitis in a third world country, it's going to require evacuation and hospitalization. And finally, any cut is an open door, especially for HIV or for anything else. Now, the picture that I have on this slide is a lady that we encountered in Haiti. She had a cut under her eye during the earthquake, and she didn't treat it. She just put a kind of a loose, dirty rag dressing over it, and some flies came along, and before you know it, she came into us with about 1,000 maggots living inside this cut. And what you see is this lady's eye socket. Her eye has been completely destroyed. The maggots are in her sinuses, in the frontal sinus, in the maxillary sinus, and all through the surrounding tissues, even down her tear duct and in what used to be her eye. We spent 6 days picking out all the maggots that this lady had in her eye socket. Why? Because she had a little cut and she didn't treat it. So it's an open door, and especially for things like hepatitis B, which you can die from, and HIV, any cut is an important opening that allows that infection into your body. So the point of all this is, anytime you get any break in your skin, a cut, a scratch, a scrape, a thorn prick, any little minor thing, clean it immediately, cover it, keep it dressed with antibiotic ointment and a Band-Aid. What's in a swim or even a wade? You know, there's some beautiful streams and rivers in most third world countries, and everybody's tempted to go in and take a swim or go in and take a wade. A lot of times we don't have any facilities for bathing, and everyone's tempted to go bathe in the river. Well, there's a lot of good reasons that you shouldn't do that. The first is schistosomiasis. Schistosomes are blood flukes. They live in your blood, and they cause damage to your kidneys, they cause damage to your liver, and they are found in water where there are snails. The life cycle of the schistosome is basically, it's passed in the urine of a person who has it. The snails pick up the eggs from the urine. A second lifestyle occurs in the snail. Then the snail passes out the schistosome, which goes through your skin when you get in the water. Here I got a picture of a friend of mine from Indonesia, Pastor Formil, and he's baptizing in this little creek. And just a little bit up from that creek, I saw a bunch of boys swimming, and one of them was urinating in the water, and the snails are absolutely everywhere. This is a hotbed of schistosomiasis, and in fact, in some countries, schistosomiasis is called a Baptist disease because people get it when they go in to get baptized. Guinea worm. Guinea worm is a fascinating little creature. The larva attaches to your skin, bores into your skin, and the worm crawls around under your skin, visible from the surface, making a long red streak wherever it goes. It's extremely painful, it's extremely itchy, and every time you get in water, that worm sticks its little tail out and lays some more eggs to get on the next person. A guinea worm can cause you to go blind, and the treatment for it is to actually make a little cut in your skin ahead of the worm, catch hold of the worm's head, and then slowly roll the worm out on a stick to extract it. Because if you kill the worm and it dies under your tissue, it creates infection. I also have up there the Amazon transparent catfish. In the Amazon, there's a little catfish that when you swim in water, it can actually swim up your urethra. The problem with that is it blocks your urethra and it has to be surgically removed. That ought to be enough reason not to swim in the Amazon. Cholera. The cholera vibrios live in water. Any water that's had sewage in it can transmit cholera. Any vegetables that have been watered with that water or washed in that water can transmit cholera. Any seafood or fish from that water that's not adequately cooked can transmit cholera. Cholera is a severe illness. People die from it every day worldwide. I remember one time we were in Cambodia and we had no facilities for bathing for several days, and we had some people who wanted to bathe in the water of the Mekong River. And I suggested that there are an awful lot of people in China, and the only way for sewage to get out of China is down the Mekong River. Cholera is a problem. You don't want to bathe in any water that you're not familiar with. E. coli, we've heard a lot about that. You can die from an E. coli infection, and E. coli is very much prevalent in water that you swim in, and a bunch of other things. One thing I want you to be very sure of, you cannot swim without getting water in your mouth. So if you think, well, I wouldn't drink that water, don't swim in it either. Filaria, I already mentioned that. That's what causes elephantiasis. And then river blindness. This little boy has river blindness. It's a parasite that causes that. You get it from getting close to the water. Now, filaria doesn't come from the water. It comes from the sand fleas, but they're right down on the edge of the water most commonly. And then don't forget there's a whole lot of other things in the water, like piranha, stingrays. I know several people who've been stung even in fresh water by stingrays. The stingray sting can be very severe. Alligators, snakes, and so on. Conclusion of all this, don't swim, bathe, wade, or baptize in unfamiliar waters. As a rule, most of the things that I've mentioned are freshwater problems, but there are some dangers in salt water as well. So if you're not familiar with the water, don't get in it.